Well, hello. My name is Angelle Wood, and this is Crime of the Truest Kind. My name is Angelle Wood. This is Crime of the Truest Kind. Massachusetts and New England crime stories. I talk about history from the region. There is always at least one snoring dog present. And the show is always advocacy focused. What does that mean? We keep the victim at the center of all of it as the main part of the story. It's very easy for the crime victim and their families to get lost in all of the noise. You see it every day. Where the perpetrators, if we know who they are, the perpetrator, as we have seen, ends up getting top billing in the story of this person's life. Now, it's been 15 years since Charline Rosemond was killed. 15 years of her family waiting and hoping that something will happen, that there will actually be a case where true justice can be done. We launched the brand new Facebook page, Justice for Charline Rosemond. Why that name? For a couple of reasons. One, it's what Charline's family wanted. And there is a direct contact email address at the page, justiceforcharlinerosemond@gmail.com, where we want to generate some information, new tips, new leads, because we know people out there, we know you know. And we know that some people are sitting on information they're not sure if they should share or not. I'm here to tell you, share it. Drop a dime. Leave an anonymous message. Anything related to Charline's case, anything that is in the public sphere, like the contact information for the Middlesex County District Attorney's Office and the state police who are charged with her case. The Somerville PD is also listed as a contact for information. Though 15 years removed, we learned that the investigator who had been working on Charline's case has retired, but still keeps a vested interest in information that's coming in. We need information. Her family deserves information. If you know something, please share it. The last 15 years has been incredibly painful for Charline's family. Please help us. The number for the Middlesex County DA's office, 781-897-6600. And I have a link from the Somerville Police Department where you can share anonymous tips. I have posted it everywhere and at crimeofthetruestkind.com. Thank you to show supporters. You can become a patron at Patreon, 4 tiers starting at just $1. Everything is linked at crimeofthetruestkind.com. Special thanks, our honorary executive producer, Lisa McColgan. We are in it, season 4. We celebrate with a live show this Thursday night, October 10th. If you're in the Massachusetts vicinity, there is a time I would have said, if you are within the sound of my voice. I did radio for a long time. But given the fact that this is a podcast, being within the sound of my voice is international. And to answer some of those questions here, some of those questions like, are you the same Angelle that was on WFNX? Yep. Do you know another Angelle? Are you the Angelle that hosts that show, Boston Emissions? Uh-huh. Those are among the questions I got just this week. Do you have a monster in your studio? Or do you just have a bunch of bulldogs? Yeah, that too. They are little noise-making monster bear machines. So Thursday night live show, October 10th. Off Cabot, Beverly, Massachusetts. We're talking North Shore crime cases. That's Salem. Peabody cases. Lynn, Revere, Rockport, Beverly. There are unfortunately a number of things to cover, and we'll do as much as we have time for. We are planning on recording it for future airing. This is episode 72. We continue our conversation with Rose, sister of Charline Rosemond, in Somerville, Massachusetts, where Charline was found 15 years ago. This is part 2 about the unsolved murder of Charline Rosemond. It happened in 2009. Please do go back and listen to the previous episode, episode 71. It will provide context and help you better understand what you are going to hear in this episode. I talked about many fun facts about the city of Somerville. It is home to the world-famous marshmallow cream known as fluff. There's that old saying, you can't throw a rock without hitting somebody for, in this case, for being an artist. New Alliance is based in Somerville. Artists, musicians, creators, any day of the week you can walk in and see amazing art on the walls. Like the work of Alvin Long, a tremendously talented artist who's been around the Boston music scene for decades. And not too terribly far away from New Alliance in the gallery is Pizzi Pies. Pizzi Pies has the best pies in the greater Boston area and beyond. Somerville, a very populated city right next to Boston, and pretty safe. And the fact that Charline Rosemond was murdered and found there in Union Square, behind the Mid Nite Convenience Store, which is still there to this day, says a couple of things to me. We've established Charline was told there was a car for sale at a pretty crazy great deal. I add all these things up. It was a Lexus, valued at about $6,000, and offered to her for the sum of $4,000. $4,000 was the sum of money Charline had with her when she left her parents' house in Everett for the last time. Now, after speaking with Charline's sister Rose, Charline knew the people who made her this too good to be true offer. Now, in saying that, I don't mean to suggest in any way that Charline's responsible for what happened to her. It indicates that she knew and trusted these people. And where Charline would be found 6 days after she went missing, Charline was familiar with that area. It came to light later on that Charline and some friends knew that location very well, were familiar with that area, and had gone there. In fact, one friend of Charline even said that they had hung out there. At crimeofthetruestkind.com on the episodes page, among the photos in the photo gallery, I recreated a map of that area in Union Square. The convenience store is there, located on Somerville Ave. The apartment building is located off Webster Ave. And the lot is in the middle where Charline was found. Now, it does pose a lot of questions for me, and I know it does for you. 6 days, Charline was in that car, in that small parking lot, in a very populated area of the city. It's upsetting to know that Charline knew the people that did this to her. She trusted them. She left her house with $4,000 in cash in her pocketbook. Something that upset her mother when she found out what she had planned for that day. I asked her sister Rose, was there even a car for sale? Or was this a twisted plot to get Charline somewhere to take advantage and steal her hard-earned money? For those of us who have been true crime consumers over the years, and there are a lot of us, we know that this is a possible scenario. It is a plausible story in this case. It doesn't bring Charline back, but it gives a little bit of insight about this operation. Charline went missing on April 6th. Several reports list April 7th as the day that Charline went missing. I confirmed my timeline with her sister. Charline was missing for 6 days, found in Somerville behind the Mid Nite Convenience on Monday, April 13th. Charline did not come home from work on April 6th, the day she had planned to go look at this car. And the next day, when she had not returned home, worry set in for her family, completely out of character for her. They needed to find help. They didn't know what to do. Who does in this situation? They would eventually go to the Everett Police Department, the town that they lived in, to report her missing. Everett Police Department did not take a missing persons report, saying Charline was 23 and maybe she wanted to go away. Stop doing that, please. Stop doing that. This family knew it was out of character for their daughter and sister to not come home. They knew something was wrong. The only person that offered any kind of help to the Rosemond family when Charline was missing was a local reporter named Todd Kaskiewicz from WCVB Channel 5 television in Boston. He is still with the station. I was not able to find his reporting from 15 years ago. But once Charline was found in her dad's car behind that convenience store, reporters came out of the woodwork to talk to her family. Where were they when she was missing for 6 days? When they were reaching out to anybody they could think of for help. In the years since, as Charline's case goes unsolved, one mainstay of New England unsolved cases is Bob Ward of Boston 25 News. Bob Ward really has been a soldier when it comes to families of victims and unsolved crime. Bob Ward has been supporting her family over these years. And I have to give thanks to Emily Sweeney of the Boston Globe Cold Case Files for featuring Charline's story after our show at Faces in Malden a few months ago. Emily is the one who put Rose and I in touch. Included in Emily's reporting is information about a post that was found after Charline's murder. Less than a year after Charline was killed, someone posted on an online chat forum. It appeared on lipstickalley.com, February 16th, 2010. An anonymous user says, "Should I snitch or mind my own business?" Was Anonymous taking the temperature? Anonymous poster said they had heard that the person who killed Charline was someone they knew and that they had gone to school with. Were they looking for advice as to whether they should go to the cops with the information that they had? It's possible they put that information up there to have other people agree with them that they should shut up and not snitch. Or they were mining for information about Charline's case. It is possible that that person who asked, "Should I snitch or mind my own business?" had no intention on going to the police in the first place. Were they seeking to be absolved? To clear their own conscience of something they may know about the murder of a 23-year-old woman? 14 and a half years after that anonymous post was left at lipstickalley.com, not much has happened with Charline's case. In May of 2009, it was reported that a 21-year-old man from Somerville named Dokins Joseph was arrested and charged with 2 counts of perjury in connection with Charline's murder. He had allegedly lied to a grand jury investigating her death. Jerry Leone, the Middlesex DA at the time, said, "We allege that this defendant has useful information regarding our investigation into the murder of Charline Rosemond, yet chose to knowingly provide false information under oath. We will continue to prosecute those who willfully choose to lie under oath or obstruct our investigation into this homicide." That 21-year-old man from Somerville was ordered held on $1,000 cash bail. Despite learning that he was implicated in Charline's murder, nothing has come from it. Almost a year after Charline's murder, that post appeared on lipstickalley.com. That anonymous poster, "Should I snitch or mind my own business?" Nothing has come from that. I don't think anonymous poster was looking for advice. Perhaps they were having a bit of a struggle of conscience. Because I believe if that person truly wanted to help Charline's case, if that person truly had information that could help ease the pain of the Rosemond family, Jesus Christ, they should have done something with it. And you still can. There is no statute of limitations on murder. This is exactly why I want to generate new visibility for Charlene's case. That is exactly why I asked her family if they approved setting up a Justice for Charline Rosemond page on Facebook. 15 years have gone by. We know people know things. We've got to shake the tree, and we've got to get these people to talk. We've got to get these people to say what they know. Thank you to the Rosemonds, and thank you to her sister Rose, who really has been shouldering this burden as the spokesperson for the family. In a moment, I continue my conversation with Rose Rosemond, Charlene's younger sister by 2 years. Please support crime of the truest kind, and there are a number of ways you can do so. Listen to the show. Tell your friends about it. Share it on social media. Post a link on one of your favorite Facebook groups. Are you on Reddit? Leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Go to the merch store, buy some merch. Drop a tip in the jar. You will be giving the dogs a bone. And, well, they're obsessed and about to start yelling at me for more treats. Become a patron on Patreon with 4 tiers starting at just $1. All links at crimeofthetruestkind.com. Thank you for listening and sharing.
If I'm not mistaken, I think she had a picture of a car. However, I'm not going to lie, these folks, from what I heard, one of them, I think, told someone, and this is, of course, after the fact, is things that I've been hearing. One of them told someone, oh, I'm about to come up on some money, prior to my sister being murdered. And shortly after my sister was murdered, this person had money that they didn't have before. I don't know if the Lexus was a thing or if it was a decoy. I mean, anybody could take a screenshot on a car and say, oh, of course people can wonder, why did she have $4,000, etc. But if you're a legit person, and mind you, like my sister's a straight up person. I like the car. There's no, oh, let me come back tomorrow. It's like, I want to secure the vehicle. Here's the money. If you're my friend and I tell you, I'm going to bring you to get a car for $4,000 cash, you're going to know I physically have $4,000 cash because you've already told me the price. You know that it's cash. So it's not a secret. It's like the easiest way for, unfortunately, a shady person that you thought was your friend to plot on you unbeknownst to you. But it's not like, at the time, it's not a real dealership where you're like, oh, I'm just going to bring a card. I'm going to put my down payment. No, you have the cash. I think the car was supposed to be $6,000, but he said, oh, my friend's going to give you a deal for $4,000. Meaning you know exactly how much money I have because you're the one telling me the amount.
Do you have any idea where these people are now? Are they around here?
I think I've heard one lives out of state and the other one is actually local. I don't know exactly where, but not far from the Somerville, Medford, Malden area. I think I've seen him once years ago. It's been about 10 years. The person that got charged with perjury, when he was let out of prison, I did run into him one time where I was going to the grocery store and it was a parking lot. He saw me and I saw him. And once he saw me, he ran. I don't know if it was just him having to accept the fact that he took on this charge. He knows these things that he may not have necessarily played a part physically, but he provided an alibi. But it was a sheer shock, fear in his face. Why are you scared of me? Why are you scared of me? If it's the fact that you have to face reality of what you did, whether or not you were involved, but you provided an alibi for people that murdered my sister, I should be afraid of you. Why are you afraid of me? But I think it's probably a matter of like having to face reality and just didn't expect to see me. And other than that, I haven't seen any of these people.
Has your family had any contact with a private investigator or an attorney that maybe can help you navigate some of these things over the years?
I mean, outside of the DA's office, we've kind of just pretty much continued to share the news and the articles regarding my sister. A private investigator we haven't explored. The thing about it is, And I don't know how it sounds, but again, I don't know how these things work, but I do know that the police know all the players. Yeah. So get a private investigator for something that's already known to the police, but they're just trying to put the pieces together. I feel like it's one thing if you didn't have a direction and it's like, we need one way to go, especially with this person being charged with perjury. That goes to show, even if we had heard rumors, now it's turned from a rumor to a fact because this person got charged in the court of law for providing alibis and certain details were said there for these folks. Now it's no longer a question. It's like a fact that these people are involved. So I don't know what a private investigator could find that the police don't already know. I think it's a matter of, unfortunately, people speaking out. I don't know how, and my dad just said this like an hour ago, we don't know how this case has gone on 15 years. When the thing happened where my sister was murdered, the police are like, this is very solvable. This is going to be solved. Like, this is not. And we're like, how are we 15 years in? You guys convinced us that you guys were going to be able to put all the pieces together. You know the players. This person got charged with perjury. And 15 years later, crickets. Like, everyone's like, well, yeah, we don't have what we need. It's like, are you going to look to get it? And it's like, I pretty much have to continue to just fight for justice for my family. And I understand, like, new cases come about, more people get murdered, they push her file to the back, but this is still a pain and something that my family will never get over. I don't care if it's 30 years, I don't care if it's 40 years, we're always going to fight for justice for her. My fear is that my parents aren't necessarily elderly, but they are getting older. And I pray to God that we're able to see the justice while my parents are here. I would hate it. I've seen stories and cases where people, they find out 40 years later and the parents are already deceased because they're elderly, and justice is still justice, but I would love for it to happen while my parents are here to see it.
What is the name of the detective, the retired detective? And were they from Somerville or Everett Police?
Somerville. Oh, Everett Police, I've never spoken to anyone in that police station aside from that initial time we went there and we couldn't get them to file the police report. But everything's strictly been Somerville and the DA's office.
Do you feel comfortable sharing that retired Somerville detective's name?
I'm not sure how I feel about sharing his name, just because, we still do occasionally. He does check in and, he is retired and he knows a lot about the case and he's definitely determined to continue to help us as much as he can. Even as he's retired, if he was to hear something, I'm sure he would get right back on it. So for that, I guess I wouldn't say his name just because he is still trying to help us out, even while in the background. People know. There's always someone that knows. Very slim chance, let's say the world is sleeping, no one sees. But even then, there's always a night owl. Someone could have peeked out their windows. People know. And it sucks because I understand to a certain extent, people are like, I don't want to get involved. I don't know what they're going to do to me. Whole families are being wiped out, eventually dying one by one from cases that are so long ago. Meanwhile, someone has that information in their heart that they never shared, that we're not going to get our family members back. But that one thing, to even get justice while on earth, eventually that would suffice for a family because they know they can't get their relative back. I just wish more people would think outside of just like, oh, I want to mind my business, or I don't want to snitch. And it's this whole I don't want to snitch thing. And it's like families are hurting. And not only that, you're allowing these people to stay out here. More times than not, if someone kills once, they're going to kill again, especially if they feel like they got away for doing it. So not only are you continuously allowing this family to hurt, but you're also allowing a murderer to roam free. It's going to be the next person in the next family and the next person in the next family. And if we could get them behind bars sooner rather than later, we can eliminate a lot of the things happening where other families don't have to suffer. It's a tough thing. It's unfortunate for all these families because, like you said, even that family in New Hampshire, they know, they have an idea exactly who did it. Someone out there knows. But again, they're living their little life. I'm going to mind my business, not say anything. Meanwhile, the family is dying inside every day because nothing has been done about their child being murdered. It's unfortunate.
There are some similarities in Charlene's case and the case of Trish Haynes from New Hampshire. What evidence did they collect from the car when Charline was found that you are aware of?
So I know till this day, I feel like they collected my sister's purse, her cell phone. I will say that there was no money found in the purse. So if you left with the money and then you don't have the money and the money is not in the house, somebody got the money, which again, further allows us to prove that she was robbed because there was no money. It's not like, oh, well, we found the money at home and found out that she actually didn't take it with her. No, she did take it with her, and the police found her purse and there was no money. Aside from that, I can say the car was my dad's car. He had it for years. They told me in my family, my dad's fingerprints weren't even found on the car. It was his car. They couldn't even find my dad's fingerprints. Further proving they had more than enough time. Her car might have been there for a while. They had time to wipe it down, etc. This is not something that just took place real quick. Mind you, she was missing for 6 days. I don't know how many times they went back to do, etc., etc. My dad was stunned. What do you mean you can't find my fingerprints? It was my vehicle. Yeah. Didn't find his fingerprints.
So calculated.
Yep.
All the flags are raised. So it's like this. We can put the pieces together. It sounds like this may not have been the first time these perpetrators did this.
Right.
Because they cleaned that car. There had to have been some evidence inside that car. Because you do believe that Charline was shot in the car and they made her drive there.
Correct. And from what I've told, it's an area, a mutual friend of Charline and those folks had said, oh yeah, sometimes we'd like hang out back there or we'd meet back there. So I didn't know that because I never hung out back there. But that further proves that this is somewhere you all would frequent. And this includes the folks being accused. It's not like it's like, oh, we've never gone there. A mutual friend was like, no, me, Charline, and these folks have actually met behind there before. Again, all these things are leading back to the same people. Throughout the years, 15 years, I have never heard any other story. I've heard several stories. People have DM'd me. People have messaged me. I've never heard anything outside of the folks that are currently accused that the police already have an idea on who did and what did. How could 15 years go by? And I haven't heard any other crazy stories, except it's the same people every single time, no matter who the person is that randomly says it.
How can we, me, general public, how can we support you and families that are going through what you're going through? How can we be better at helping?
With social media being as powerful as it is, and just the internet in general, something as small as a share or a like, or just providing this type of, I don't want to call it content because it's not like, oh, we created content. Unfortunately, this is real life. However, sharing this amongst folks, again, how this story got to you, and it got to, the Boston Globe, and it got to Emily, etc. It's based on someone that shared, that eventually it got to someone that got to someone. I feel like for myself and other families continuously sharing these stories, there one day someone will be like, oh my God, I remember that. And I know this, but I never thought that this went with that. Because so many years go by, and unfortunately, murders happen quite often. So what happens is your story gets pushed to the side. We got a new story. We got a new girl murdered, and then her story gets pushed to the side. 2 years later, and it's like, well, that was 15 years ago. We didn't forgot about it. There's a new murder this week, and that's the hottest thing on. And unfortunately, it's like, I understand that these are not going to stop. However, if we continue to share the stories of other families, it just comes down to someone knowing something that they didn't know would help solve a case, but they now have heard the story where they could say, oh my God, in 2009, I lived in Somerville and I lived in that building and I did hear something, but I never knew that this was the case. Or to the point where we share it so much that someone that knew something that has been contemplating for years, should I say something? Should I not? Maybe that one post will be like, you know what? Let me finally get this off my chest. I feel like there's so little you can do, but at the same time, I feel like sharing is so important, despite how long ago the story was told. And as long as we keep the story alive, I think that does a lot for the family. I can't really think of anything else that I feel like would suffice. I mean, I have no problem talking about my sister's story. Some days I do feel like it's harder than others. I'm not going to lie. I do feel like, my parents and I are discouraged. We've been doing this for 15 years. Bob Ward, who's amazing, he did an anniversary, I think, 5 years in, 10 years in. We did the news. He would come to my house and we're appreciative. And then I don't know, it's like me and my family have hopes, like maybe something will come about. And it's like, nope, another year, nothing. It's so discouraging. But if people continue to keep Charline alive in her story, I just pray that one day someone will admit to it, or someone will just be able to provide details that we didn't have that can now allow us to put pieces together.
There have been sites dedicated to Charline's case in the past, right? Website, Facebook.
I used to have it, but throughout the years, it's taken a toll on me. Now I have to mentally prepare and take like we're doing this now. I had to prepare for it. Okay, I'm going to talk about it because it's something that has taken a toll on me. I've felt guilt throughout the years for not solving it. I think, oh my God, you just start thinking things. Is she disappointed in me that I haven't been able to solve her case? Is it my job per se? No, the detectives have to help me help them. But I felt guilty about that. And for so long, it took a toll on me that I stopped running the page. And a lot of times I felt like, I don't know, people were there more so to lurk and see what I have. Again, because I went to school in Somerville, she went to school in Somerville. Half the community in Somerville, I still kind of talk to. I feel like a lot of people know, so I started to get paranoid. I don't know who's here for actual support and who's here to find out how much I know to run
Right.
back and tell
Right.
it just became too much that I stopped. I do share like on my personal page, or if articles are written, I'll share. But I kind of closed out the pages that I had for. I used to have a Facebook page, a memorial site, but it got too much for me to handle, and it would lead me into depression because it's like a
Mhm.
reality. Every time you post or every time someone posts, it's just a reality that this is your real life. Your sister is not coming back. She was murdered. So now I still continue to share, but I have to do it in doses in order not to fall into the deep depression that I was falling into. So I just do it gradually, but I continue to share every article or anything that people. I've had several podcasts, do podcasts about my sister's case. I do continue to share the stories, but me running stuff, I don't think I can mentally do it at this time. I think it was just taking too much of a toll on me, unfortunately.
Completely understood. I get it. I mean, that's why I wanted to volunteer to help you and support you in that way. And I would like to offer some new visibility on our case. And that's part of this Massachusetts advocacy coalition that we're working on, because we see that families don't get the kind of support that they really need. And from each other, too. I mean, it's important that families like yours know that you're not alone. I know that you often feel like you're out on an island and nobody understands what you're going through. Or that your sister's just some character, like on television. She's not. She's a real human being that lived and breathed and loved, and someone took her. People took her from your family. And I plan on continuing our correspondence because I feel very strongly about the fact that we cannot forget about her case, about her, and everything that you've been through, your family.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely do.
You were 8 months pregnant when your sister passed away. Tell me about that baby.
Well, now I have a boy. He's a teenager now, so obviously it's been a long time. He's definitely heard about my sister. He reminds me of her in some ways. He definitely brought so much joy to my family considering the loss. Unfortunately, it's like he came at the perfect time because we were hurting so much, but he allowed us to actually stay a tight-knit family. Babies bring people together. But he's awesome. And I keep pictures of my sister all over the place. So he knows Charlene, he knows the name. He has seen, unfortunately, he's seen throughout the years, what the damage has done to my parents and family, because I've told him about it, where he notices how we are, how we are a little paranoid about certain situations because we only know of what happened to our family. But overall, he's definitely awesome. He came at the right time. I don't know where I would be if he wasn't here.
And your parents are happy grandparents.
Yes, they are.
How are they doing? How are your parents doing? Are they still in the area?
Yeah, they're still in the area. Every day is a struggle. Like the other day, my mom, things don't change. But the other day, my mom and I were talking, and actually, we weren't talking. She called me randomly and she was crying. It's to the point where when my mom calls me and she's crying, I don't have to ask her why she's crying. I know it's another moment where it's just reality's hitting, which is what the case was. She called me and she was just crying. She didn't have to say anything. And of course, I just comforted her, and I just allowed her to cry. And she's like, I can't believe it. It's 15 years. My daughter, where would she be if she was still here? What would she be accomplishing? And then we still have those times. My dad, he tries not to talk about it much because it's too painful. But every now and then we have the conversations where we talk about it. So it's just like a painful thing that is not necessarily the elephant in the room with my family, but even as we sit together in the living room, it's like we always know that someone is missing. Like it's always someone's missing. We don't say it, but everyone feels it. So it's just a matter of day by day. But they are definitely determined to get justice for my sister. They aren't as vocal as I am. And I understand the loss of a sister. Now that I'm a mom, I can't imagine the loss of a child. So I can only imagine the pain that they're experiencing. But I do my best to speak for the family and for myself and advocate and, continue to seek justice for all of us.
And I know this is a lot of emotional labor. And there might be something that you say with me today that when you think about it, you don't want to be included in this. And I understand. And you just say the word.
The thing about the no fingerprints, I've never said that before, but I'm fine. I mean, I've said the same thing for 15 years. At some point, I have to say something different. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but it's like I've said the same story. You look at Bob Ward's interviews, you check out I've said the same thing because I didn't know how much I should or shouldn't put out, which is still where I am. What do they say? Doing the same thing over and over, I'm not getting anywhere. So maybe if little by little, maybe I do say something that wouldn't necessarily jeopardize the case, but that hasn't been heard before. An example for the fingerprints, I've never said that in any article, nothing you see, you'll ever hear that. So that's the only new thing I think I said today. But I'm fine with everything. I'm always fine to be the face. I definitely will participate in anything you have going on. I could definitely be the face that I've been for my family. So thank you for everything. A lot of people, it's old stories to them, and you don't even have to do this. And you're doing this out of the kindness of your heart. So we appreciate you wanting to share her story.
Well, thank you. And I'm here. I'm not going away. You will be hearing from me.
Thank you.
My thanks to Rose and the Rosemond family. There's a lot of reasons why I do this, but if listening to what Charlene's family has gone through for the last 15 years isn't any indicator as to why things like this need to be done, I have no other words for you. Charlene's case has been unsolved for 15 years. We're working to change that. So talk about Charlene's case. Share this and other podcasts about Charlene's story. If you're on Facebook, like the Justice for Charline Rosemond Facebook page. Charlene's name is spelled Charline. Charlene. You know, we're at the tail end of 2024. And in 2025, the work with the Massachusetts Missing and Murdered Advocacy Coalition is going to ramp up considerably. It's a group of us here in the state of Massachusetts who have been involved in, I'm not going to say true crime because it's not about podcasts. It's about a community of advocates who have worked in different sectors. And we all come together with the mission of advocacy for the families of missing and murdered in Massachusetts. Much more to come on that in the months ahead. I hope you can come out, those of you who are local to the Massachusetts area. I hope you can come out to Off Cabot on Thursday night. Live show. It's a meetup of sorts. Information about everything show related, crimeofthetruestkind.com. You can follow online at Crime of the Truest Kinds on all the haunts, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, LiveJournal, MySpace, AOL Instant Messenger. All right, I'm going off the rails. I released these 2 episodes back to back for Charlene's case. And then we return in 2 weeks with a very special collaboration episode. Follow at Crime of the Truest Kinds to learn more about that. Here's a teaser. Have you heard of Already Gone, the podcast? Thank you for listening. My name is Angelle Wood. This is Crime of the Truest Kinds. Massachusetts and New England crime. A little bit of history, I wasn't so snarky today. And always advocacy focused. I am going to jump. My dogs are about to yell at me to give them treats. I'm not kidding. That's not made up. They have temper tantrums when it's mealtime and snack time. I mean, don't we all? I must be going. Lock your goddamn doors.